That air raid siren can only mean one thing. It's not time to duck and cover. It's time for Wild and Weird Radio Live. And boy, do we have a special show for you guys tonight. We pulled a lot of strings to try to make this happen, but we have an absolute star on deck tonight. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But Joseph, why don't you fill the good folks in on what's going on and start calling them out?
Well, we've got Donna Ho out here hanging out in the chat. We've got L.W. Marshall, Lisa, Julie Bug, Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State. James Nelson's in the house. LR's here as usual. Good to have you, buddy. James Nelson. Oh, yeah, I already said your name. Then we got Larry Ho. Happy Thursday, everyone. Nikki Bennett, how's it going? Eyes in the Woods. Scott Holbrook's in the house. Sir Spookfest. Nancy White, and so far, that's all that's in the chat.
Let's get them in here.
So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and run this down and get it out of the way. This show is always brought to you free by the executive producers, Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State, Larry Hose, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Lisa, Finding the Trackway, Tommy Swigger, Pat, Small Town Monsters, Eyes in the Woods, James Nelson, and all of our amazing super chatters out there who donate weekly and throw those super stickers out and really, have some fun with it because those super stickers are pretty cool. Dewey Edwards, Spooky Appalachia, Guitar Chains Craig, Travis Rednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Bigfoot, Littlefoot, Terry Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Donna Ho, Angie Breeden, Jen Clower, Jamie Snell, Ike the Fob, Daddy Fauber, Ashley Hilt of On Wednesdays We Talk Weird, and Lotus Flower, Wendy the Pooh Bear. Wendy the Pooh Bear is our latest that has joined the list. Thank you, Wendy, for jumping in. You're out there, the PNW. Go ahead and share that out with some other folks who are out west with you and get them to come over and hang out with us.
Yeah, this is all about the big guy tonight. We're going to be talking Bigfoot, right, Glenn?
Absolutely.
That's why we got you here. We're going to talk about some of your past exploits and adventures in the world of Bigfootery.
Well, I got something else big here. Nancy White coming in hot right at the beginning of the show.
Nancy.
Thank you.
All right, Nancy.
The Trackway has jumped in. Benefits of putting your phone on the refrigerator. Yeah, you don't get alerts when you don't have it. Then we've got Awesome Rockin' Girl, Ohio Squatch Project in the house. Who, Glenn? Who is Awesome Rockin' Girl?
Sorry, I don't know.
Uh-oh. We've got Danny Buckner has joined us. He sent some pictures of those lanyards that will be given out at the Bigfoot workshop this fall, and they look amazing.
Yeah, they look amazing. He does a lot of, that's really good work. That's what I do.
Jeffrey Steele's here hanging out with us. What's going on? Miss Trackway is here. Spookfest is here. L.W. Marshall, Bigfoot. I'm right there with you, my brother. Thank you, LW. You are awesome. Always appreciated. Angie, what's going on?
Thank you.
Ada Cox made it. That's right, Ada. Glad to have you here.
The ukulele's back, just to let you all know. Everybody was all disappointed last week. So it's back.
Awesome Rockin' Girl is Jeff using my daughter's YouTube.
I am not going to say a word about that.
You met him at OBC. He's the one taking over the Squatch project stuff.
Gotcha. Good to have you here, Jeff.
That's just hilarious. I love it. That is funny. All right, everybody, reach out to all your wild and weirdos and weirdette friends and send them the reminder because, sometimes Facebook likes to not remind people. That's why we have people hit the reminder over here on YouTube. It seems to be a little bit more accurate, but it's better just to reach out and let them know. in case you guys didn't know, we do, like I said, I mentioned here at the top of the show, we do have a star with us tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That we do.
and
And it was a
she
star
is
in the making that took at
Yeah.
least 13 years
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
produce.
Yeah, it's probably one of the cooler things that Glenn has ever co-created, and I am going to show you why it's such a big deal. Not many people get to do this, by the way. This is pretty phenomenal, and man, oh man, what a memory. But for you folks who didn't get to see it today, it was run on the Today show, their page, and that video, we'll actually throw the link up there for you guys who haven't seen it, is pretty phenomenal. And what it basically is you've got these kids jumping through this portal, basically. And the first person who jumps through the portal is well, right over here beside Glenn. Not only does she jump through it, she jumps back and forth through it, which is what she would do in real life, apparently, too. So
Probably.
it works out just great. But no, for real, everybody, please do welcome the Adkins over there, Eliza and Glenn. And let's talk a little bit about this, your big star moment. Okay. Because you were interviewed by who today?
Today I was interviewed by Inside Edition and Good Morning America.
Uh-oh. Gonna be on the GMA show.
Yep.
Was that a live interview, or is it air tomorrow?
I don't know.
I'm not sure when it airs. Whether it's tomorrow, but it was a recorded interview for both of them.
Yeah.
That's
very
so cool. So this thing went literally viral, which I knew it was going to the first time I'd seen it. It was just
25 million views right now.
It has what?
25 million.
Oh
25 million views.
I sent you the first night I saw it.
Yeah.
And I sent it to both of you guys because I was like, oh my, well, first time I watched it 3 times and then I realized I didn't have my glasses on. Oh my God, that's Eliza.
I watched it and I thought it was her. I'm like, wait a minute. And you're like, she was the first one through. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. When I sent that to you, I think there was like, 100 hits on it.
Yeah.
So you guys saw it from the very beginning. And
I knew that this was going to blow up.
It brought tears to my eyes. It was,
yeah. If it doesn't, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is one of the best. I think it's one of the best graduation videos I have ever seen.
I agree.
See, I had seen those done, that style done with wedding videos. But seeing it done, that was a long game,
Yeah.
That was 13 years from kindergarten all the way up to graduation. It's impressive. It's really cool.
It's pretty cool.
It was nuts. But yeah, she's reaping the benefits. She's got her sister all kinds of aggravated. In the marketing. Yeah. She beat her.
Oh my gosh, that's just priceless. I'm going to grab this address and throw it over there for you guys. And let me see, where's that chat? I think I can do it over here in. I'm going to do it in the YouTube. See if I'll go through over here. Should. See if that goes through.
Now there is 2 of them.
There's 2 videos. There's one with our old elementary school and then our new elementary school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's different high schoolers too.
Oh,
very cool. It's really cool that they had that much forethought to.
Well, they didn't.
Yeah, it's the 2036, so it's like the kindergartners now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's amazing.
Oh, so that wasn't little you jumping through. Oh, see, I thought that was something that they had like played the long game on.
It's just supposed to show like how quickly it goes by. And
right on.
Yeah, that's
now cool. People planning for 12 years of using the original people.
They actually do a plan. They got the names of all the kids to do it when they graduate.
Yep.
That'll be awesome.
I mean, they got the footage. Why not do it?
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, that's going to be pretty epic. So, wow. But how cool is that to be a part of that story? I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I actually got a call at like 10:30 this morning from my principal, and I wasn't even awake yet. And he was like, I need you to come into the school right now to interview with Inside Edition.
That is just great. So there's the Today Show link for you guys. Anybody wants to watch that, just copy and paste that, and go have a look at it in your browser. So, you know, what's really interesting about this is not only does she jump through portals, you know, through time and space, apparently, she's also she cut her teeth with Wild and Weird when it came to Bigfoot, right? Like we kind of pulled you into it because you were kind of just like a little skeptical about the whole thing, even though your dad goes out and, you know, he's got some incredible notches on his belt as far as Bigfoot goes, because it's like, you know, this guy has experimented, researched and basically done everything but take a picture of this thing.
She, you know what, she was, and I think she got to the age right when we met you guys to where she was more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
There were times that she went out in the woods and I took different groups out. And there was a time when she was a little younger holding my wife's hand while we were in the woods that, you know, midnight knocking on a tree and just being so angry.
What?
I did not want to be there.
She's like, tell him to turn the lights on and let's leave.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of scary for her at the time. And,
yeah.
You know, and I get that. But that's how she, you know, and then she got a little more brave. And then she didn't want to embarrass herself in front of you guys or in front of Mike or the other guys that were with us. You know, when other people are there besides Dad, it's not as cool to be scared.
And then she did a really good job. And
I think her coming out party was in West Virginia.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, she really it was fun. And you know what else is fun?
Okay.
Thank you, Ada. You are awesome. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
When you were hanging out up there with us, you know, it was completely different because, you know, I'd hung out with you at the shows when you would show up to, like, I think it was Creature Weekend one year, and then OBC the following year. You would show up with Mike and you guys would all be there for a little bit, and then you guys would leave. Y'all would duck out early. You know, you're like, okay, this isn't cool anymore. We're leaving. And then when you came out to the workshop, you found out, like, oh yeah, they're doing the workshop. You really wanted to come, and you came out and hung out with us, and you just had a ball, and it was awesome.
And the thing was, she was with you. I missed out on her first experience.
Yep.
Because I was in the very back trying to, you know, we were doing the whole, hey, I'll go by myself type thing.
Yeah.
We had no idea anything was going to happen. So her first experience was with you. You're like our Bigfoot dad.
we were up front.
It's the Bigfoot Godfather.
That's there you go.
Right. The Godfather.
New shirt.
We were up front, and we had the lead. It was me, you, one of your friends, Mike, Scott, and one other person. I can't remember who the last one was. And I apologize for whoever that was with us. But I remember we were standing there, and you were standing like as close to me and Mike in as you could get. And then, like, when you guys heard that thing, like, I have this minimal reaction policy. I don't want to respond. Like, I'll say something. Did you hear that? But I was with a group of people, and I wanted to let you guys tell me you heard something first. And I heard the girls chattering, and I was just like, yeah, they heard it. They heard it. And then you elbow me, and you're like, Joe, did "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard it. Just hang tight." And then we sat there and we hung tight for a minute, just waiting for anything else to happen. And then all of a sudden, elbow, elbow, elbow. Can we leave? Can we go back now? Is that okay? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. We got up there, we had the encounter, and that's what we went in there for. Like we went in there just to go have fun. We didn't go in there to have an encounter, but it actually happened. And it was really cool that it did. And I'm really excited that you and everybody else was there. And it kind of started that fire to go try to figure out what exactly is going on out there. It was cool to be a part of that.
And then after that, we found the prints, and then we heard the scream.
Yep.
Yeah.
The scream was, I think, the first. We were just getting ready to leave.
I don't even know what that was to this day.
You can't explain what that.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That scream thing was really strange because what we heard audibly was about 15 times louder than what was actually picked up on the recorder.
And it came right out of that ravine.
Yeah.
Out of it. It was like it was almost in a ball and thrown at us. It was so, I mean, it just, and for everybody that was there, I don't even know how many people were there. There were 15, 20 people still there.
Yeah.
Everybody stopped and looked at each other. And I remember looking over at you, Joe, and smiling and shaking my head. And everybody was like, what? And it was just like, this isn't really happening. This is craziness.
So Danny asks, where is your favorite place to go Bigfooting?
Well, I've only ever been to Salt Fork and then with you guys, but I only had an encounter with you guys, so I guess that place.
That's your favorite spot here in West Virginia. Well, hopefully this fall we're going to be able to pull you away from college for a minute and get you out there with us.
As soon as you give me the dates, we're going to try to work it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
I really, really, really want to go back there. I mean, we've talked about this 3 or 4 times that we wanted to go and stay.
Well, and we might even try to make that happen before.
Yeah,
like we've got all summer to figure that out, and that way we can get Eliza out there before school, and it can just be, a bunch of us going out there and just kind of hanging out, not necessarily like a big public workshop. It can just be us, having a ball. Scott Holbrook said I wanted to stay there. Yeah, Scott was amped up. He was like, oh man.
Oh, I agree. I wanted to stay too. I really did. It was. We had talked about, I think we had the conversation before we even took the first hike out there. I hope nothing happens.
Yep.
Because as soon as something would happen, oh my gosh, we found a footprint, which we did by the creek. It's like they're going to think we were back here, And the thing was, it rained so hard and there was no way we could have staged anything. But it was just one of those weird timing things that, it's here. It's not, not something that we planned on, but hey, since we're here, might as well hang out with them for a little bit.
Yeah, it was wild. It was really wild. Just a really good day. Can't say enough about it.
And we had so many of the other people, like people that were there. Like when I walked back, the people that were supposed to be somewhere, by the pavilion, they were nowhere around.
Yeah.
And you can't, nothing like that. You can coordinate. They definitely heard something because we found a track where they said that they had heard it.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, this is just getting really too weird. And then the scream to top it off.
That was the icing on the top, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So now that it's almost been a year since we had this little rendezvous, what is your perspective now, Eliza? What do you think about now? Like when that goes through your head, what do you think?
I don't know. I just want to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of feels like a fever dream now. Like,
did that really happen? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool.
Now, see, right there, what she just said, it just reminded me of a conversation I had with her probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I was with a group. We were down in close to Salt Fork. And as we were driving down a road, I called to say goodnight to them. And she says, Dad, what are you doing? I said, well, we're getting ready to go into the woods. She says, Dad, it's almost dark. I'm like, well, honey, that's when we go in the woods. She says, Dad, that's not a good idea. You shouldn't do that. And
I
now
remember that.
where she's at, she's like, hey, I want to go back. I want to hang out again. Which, this is what we've all talked about this, having drinks or coffee or whatever, of that's part of the reason you do this, to get these kids excited to do it. And now I'm seeing it with her. It's really cool.
Well, you definitely got that one excited, because I've seen her several times now, and she has to go do something. She can't go out and join us, and she's just like,
Yeah, I was really upset.
I know. I could tell.
She was annoyed.
So Danny Buckner asks, are you scared at all? Yeah. Just vigorous nodding the head. Yeah.
You know what? And it's okay. That's part of the, why do you ride a roller coaster? Same reason that we go back out there at night and look for it's chasing that fun rush.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're not scared, if you're not excited, or you're not, there's a difference between scared and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And scared of, wow, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah. Right.
It was so. The person who I brought to the Salt Fork convention, when you guys were talking about going out that night, he said he would be scared because he doesn't want something to happen. And I said, wouldn't that be the fun of it? And he did not agree. But it's fun. It's fun if something would happen.
Exactly. That's when your adrenaline gets pumping, you get excited, you start to be like, oh, well, there's something actually out here. It's not just us. It's not just, on TV. It's actually happening here in real life.
And great is you get to see that. And everybody who's there gets to see that. And it's like, they're like, this is real. Like, they get to see the reality of it, right?
And I think one of the best things about that happening, when it happened, was they saw all of us trying to debunk and say, okay, it could have been this, that roar or whatever you heard could have been a bear. Okay, let's go over some bear activity. And if a bear is on that ridge and sees 20 people walking down the trail, it's going to turn around. You're never going to know it's there.
Yeah.
A cat, you'll never hear a cat until it's too late. It's got no reason to stand its ground like that. So, you're knocking these things off and trying to prove you're wrong, and you're not.
Yeah.
That's an important part of anything that you do.
I also really liked that my friend was there, because growing up, when my friends or anyone would hear that my dad they called him a Bigfoot enthusiast.
With the air quotes.
People would make fun of me all the time. And so
Bigfoot weirdo dad.
Yeah. And so having someone else there that's my age that witnessed it, and so that people can't call me crazy, was pretty nice.
Well, it was really cool too that you had somebody that you grew up with, somebody you would go to school with, somebody who is a peer of yours that had this encounter with you.
Yep.
Because it validates what you heard. You weren't the only one that heard it. Yeah. There was multiple people that heard it, but you and someone else who was your age, one of your peers that just tagged along, got to experience that with you. And, it almost basically covers you for whenever you go out. And if you talk about this openly with anybody, you're like, oh no, she was there. Ask her. Yeah. And when her story 100% corroborates yours, what does anybody do with that? They can't say, well, they have to at least give it a hard maybe at that point. Yeah. Wendy says, do y'all ever feel like you're infringing on their home, or do you feel when searching for the Bigfoot that it thinks it's fun? Or do they just let you know if it's a good time or bad? Glenn, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, Glenn.
Sure. And you know what? It's really cool that they asked that question. When I was I was working for American Anthropological Research Foundation with Robert Morgan, and the area that we were working, we had an area that we didn't go into at all. It was kind of like that's theirs. We're not going there. We did the same thing. We interacted with them. We left them things. They left us things. A lot of these times, especially Steve and I would sleep in the back of a truck. And back then they had the aluminum caps. And I swear they were playing games with us because as soon as we would get in there, within 5 minutes, you're getting comfortable in your sleeping bag, you're getting stretched out, you're starting to Z off, and then they throw a stick and land it on top of the truck. Or, and wake you up. And we'd poke our head out and you could hear them going up the hill. And it was almost, you could hear them laughing at it. They thought it was funny. And when I had my encounter, my sighting, I always tell people they let us see them. Yeah. They had plenty of time to go. They had plenty of time to disappear. They knew where we were. They knew who we were. They knew what we were doing. We actually had that relationship with them. So, yeah, we gave them their spots. And you know what? There was a time, and I don't know if I've talked to you guys about it or not, when we were at a swamp. And my wife was with me and Steve and another guy who had joined our group to try to do research. We walked half mile, 3/4 of a mile back an oil road and got to the edge of a woods, and it was all of us stopped at the same time. And it was almost one of those, not tonight, leave us. And I don't know why, but, we heard a scream and we were not chased, but directed out of the woods. We all moved really quickly. As a matter of fact, it was so intense that the guy that Steve brought, I can't remember his name because he never came back. It bothered him that much.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that, it's the same thing with.
So it's a little bit of all of what Wendy had asked,
Yeah, everything that she taught. I mean, that's why it's such a great question, because she covered 3 things that, I've experienced all of them. And if you go someplace, if you and Ron and Joe are drinking coffee together and they're talking about something very personal, and I walk up with a cup of coffee, it's not that they don't want me there, but they want to be left alone. And anybody in there, that has enough sense about them can tell that. And, there are times you just say, okay, I'll call me here in an hour when you guys are done and we'll get together or whatever. You got to give them their space. Sometimes people, and that projection of that mood and that atmosphere, we get that.
Mm-hmm.
And we abide
Bigfoot
by
Littlefoot asked, what part of Ohio were you working in?
Well, I've been all over Ohio. The swamp thing happened up in Northeast Ohio, and the encounter was down by Salt Fork. So I've done everything in between.
Finally, the trackway said, well, I feel like the wood knocks are indications that Bigfoot wants to do a double flush after using the bathroom.
That's why I made the stick. I double flush constantly.
Right? Got to get the log splitter in there sometimes to make room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wendy said that's intense, responding to your answer there. Wendy lives out in the PNW. She's up there in the right in the thick of it, man.
Where at is it? I'm sorry, you don't know this probably. I was just out in Northern California, drove down to San Francisco and the area, and I love Northern California and Oregon, Washington. It's my favorite place in the world. My wife and I vacation out there as much as possible, and
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really, really, really nice out there. And you know what? Here in Ohio and West Virginia, we've got places and acres and acres. But I went to Bluff Creek, of course, and
loser.
Why? That hurts.
That's like I want to get out to Bluff Creek.
It's amazing. Bluff Creek and that whole area. And I remember stopping on the side of a road going into Bluff Creek. Now we had driven like 45 minutes without seeing anything. And we stopped at this little place you could pull off the side of the road and look, and there wasn't anything we were driving to. It was really, really crazy. It's nice. It's definitely a different world. Northern California and Southern California should be two different states. It's
Oh yeah,
not
100%.
fair.
The environment, like I've hiked all over NorCal.
I was in Puget Sound, so I see what you put on there.
Yeah.
Kitsap County. Yeah, we did the whole drive through around there, Olympic Peninsula, and all the way up and around. So it was, it's amazing.
If you've ever hiked the Yosemite Valley, and then you double back and you look at Southern California in the high deserts, like it's a totally different world.
She went to her and her mom and sister hiked to the top of Yosemite Falls.
Oh, awesome!
Some time in Yosemite, and it was. You can ask her. It's pretty amazing. Just people, you have to be there. The pictures don't help.
If you ever get a chance to go back, Liza, hike Panorama Trail.
Okay.
It's the trail that when you hit the pinnacle of the mountain, you've got the entire view of Yosemite Valley. You've got both of the waterfalls, Half Dome, everything all in one view. And it's just, I sat there for 2.5, 3 hours one day and just, it was one of the most breathtaking views of my life.
It's an amazing place out there. And Joe and I were talking, I mean, you see why there's something that can exist. I'm surprised that Bigfoot is the only thing that people are reporting that live out there. I mean, dinosaurs could live out in the areas and not be seen. There's too much space. I mean, anything could be out there, and people that are saying, "Well, there's no room for them," are just haven't been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Well, that's because we like to impose rules upon things that we don't even understand. And, that's human nature. We do it with everything, right? Folks, let's get some likes, some shares out there. Also, let's get some questions in here. Any sightings that you have seen, anything you want to share, feel free to share it. And like always, it's your show. So just let us know.
Glenn's been out there Bigfooting since before Bigfoot was the actual term for it.
It's true. So, no. Almost. It's almost true. Not quite. But
Glenn, it was.
He's probably older than Bigfoot.
Mid-70s, I started my interest.
That's when Bigfoot. It started? Yeah.
Yeah. And because of the movie that came out and what was it? Roger Patterson's film, of course, but there was that movie down in New Orleans or Louisiana, the creek.
Fox Monster, the Boggy Creek.
Boggy Creek. Yeah, Boggy Creek.
You know what? They that just got me. It was like, I gotta go. I gotta go see this.
Danny asked what tools you used, and then the Men in Black just immediately popped up saying, "Do not engage the like button, primates." So, Glenn, what tools do you use?
I am a firm believer in very primitive tools. You guys have some night vision that we've used. It's amazing. And you guys caught some stuff on night vision that was amazing. When I go out, it's either me and another guy, me and two people. Sometimes I'm by myself. And we've had long discussions about this between the three of us. I am a firm believer in enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
You want a camera? Great. Most important tool, somebody asked me that in the last talk I gave, is my flashlight. And because I don't want to trip and fall. That's all. I don't try to light up anything. I want to be there in the moment, have my experience, because I don't believe that pictures are going to prove anything. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin are a perfect example of that.
100%.
Yeah.
And, I don't believe, or look at the Freeman footage too. That's amazing footage of a Bigfoot, period.
Yeah.
And it hasn't proved anything. So me snapping pictures or using, cameras and stuff like that, it's going to cause people to talk about it, but it's not going to prove anything. The only thing that's going to prove anything, in my opinion, is a Jane Goodall, Diane Fossey type relationship.
That's where Liza comes in.
People.
We're going to send her out into the woods, and she'll learn how to be one of the Bigfoots.
Call her Jane and have her go.
I can't do that.
Diane Fossey with the mountain gorillas and stuff. That woman was amazing. Jane Goodall even says during her relationship, it's very possible. She doesn't understand why people are so quick to dismiss the possibility of a Bigfoot existing. Mm-hmm. So there's some pretty educated people that agree.
Yeah.
And
Grandma's
on. Grandma is on. So
we have Grandma to mash that like button like it owes her money.
Yeah. You don't know my mother-in-law. If it owes her money, she's pounding that like button.
Last time I was camping in her backyard after. That's when I was talking about skinwalkers.
In the city of Louisville, there's a lot of skinwalker Bigfoot activity going on over my grandma's house.
Gotcha. Oh man. So what Eliza, what are some things that you want to try, you want to do yourself the next time you're able to get out there?
I don't really know. I don't know.
Like I know the whole live in the moment, like, and because I'm a huge advocate of that as well. That the best tools you can have, honestly, and anytime I do like a Bigfoot talk, one of the first things I tell them is the best equipment you have is grafted into your skull. You've got your eyes and your ears, and everything else is secondary at that point. So like, would you want to go out and like just sit deep out in the woods somewhere for like ever and listen and wait?
Yeah, I would also like,
that's cool.
Next time, I would want to be the person to knock on the tree.
All right.
Brave girl. Yeah. So would you be okay with us like hooking up a device and reading your brainwaves while you're doing this?
Of course.
Because it's me. This is what I do. So all right. Cool. I think we got us a research project started up, boys and girls.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And the thing is, it's like what's your reason for doing it? What's your purpose? Sure. Yeah. What's your goal here? Do you want to get a picture? Then you know what?
Take a selfie with Bigfoot.
Take a selfie with Bigfoot. Then what you need to do is invest in that camera equipment, the GoPro, front and back. Because, like we did on our walk, the people in the back have just as good a chance of seeing as anything else. So, invest in all the camera equipment that you want. You want night vision footage? Invest in all of it. Now, I do have a soft spot for sounds and screams and stuff like that.
Oh, I agree with this. I would like to have more of that, honestly.
Yeah, a parabolic that really can record something well. And, that's kind of cool. But again, I'm at the point where I don't care if you believe me. I don't care if you believe in this. And guess what? He doesn't care if you believe in it either. And you and I can still be friends. But I believe in it. I know what I saw. I know what I've experienced. I know what others have experienced. And I know what's out there.
Well,
Am I
speaking of that, until we can get some questions rolling in here for you, Glenn, tell us about some of those encounters that you've had in the past.
Like back in the early '90s, before where Joe and I were, or Ron and I were joking about the pre-internet days. We did some investigations down by Salt Fork in Guernsey, and we were there all the time, and that's where I had my sighting and encounter. I mean, we've had things thrown at us. We had screams come out of the woods. We had that sighting, and there was another sighting that one of our guys had of it was during the summertime, and he looked up and he saw this person running across the trail up on the hill with a fur coat on, is what he said. And then he started, it's July. Why would he have a fur coat on? It was that, I guess, benign of a, there's Bigfoot type thing. It was why does that kid have a fur coat on running through the woods? He's going to die. Oh my God, that's not a fur coat kid.
Yeah.
And by then it was gone. Now, that was an encounter that we had there also. Many times, and you can't explain this, is you just had a feeling that something was there. I've gone in we had a place where we left things for them, and we would go up there sometimes at night. And one evening I was there by myself, and I wanted to get it done before the rain started. So I went up by myself, bebopped up there, singing songs, happy as can be, got to the top of the hill, left everything I was supposed to. And then, wow, sorry. That's really...
Hey,
thank
says, keeping it
you.
free and supporting girls is the next generation who will find answers.
That's amazing.
Here.
Thank you very much. That's so cool. And it's so cool to hear. I mean,
many thanks.
And Joe and Ron both. That's what I want to do. And not only girls, but you guys. Did you guys ever post that? See that? You saw the video of the little boy with the stick.
Oh yeah. We've put that up there.
Okay, yeah, that made my month. Just watching a little boy play like that, and you know what? He's going to do research. He's going to ask the questions. He's going to be the one that says it's all right to ask questions.
That's what it's about.
And that's what I try to express, and that's why I try to tell people: don't believe me. Don't believe me what I saw. Don't believe me what I've experienced. But you know what? Have the guts to ask the questions. Go out there and look. Because if you don't ask questions and you don't look, we're not going to get anywhere with anything.
Yep.
Well, Liza, do you have a decent headlamp? You do? Well, I know you don't need a Squatch stick because your dad makes those. But we'll get you a piece of equipment there with what Eyes in the Woods sent, and we'll get you a little something to take out in the woods with you.
And then you got to post the pictures, and they can post them all over.
Yeah, there you go.
That's very, very cool. That's really cool. Those are the kind of people I love to sit down with.
Prior to that coming in, Scott had asked a question. Glenn, do you feel like if you had a camera that sighting would have still happened or not?
That's a good question.
It is a very good question. And I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back then, Robert always carried the big video recorder that looks like, something out of Hollywood now.
Yep.
That cost $1,000 back then. That cost, $59 now. He always carried that around, but it was mainly to record us doing stuff. I don't think so. I think that I don't want to. Okay, well, I don't care. What I don't want to sound crazy, but Ron's here, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I believe that they knew we weren't there to do anything like that. It took us over a year to have an actual encounter like we had, and my encounter was very, very, a quick story that we went out. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy asked if they have favorite treats like soda or anything like that.
That's
You
also a
and if
good
I remember
question.
right, you used to take suet, right?
Suet was a big thing. Fish was a big thing. I never got into the soda or beer or anything like that. I have heard a lot of people talk about peanut butter.
Yeah.
That they will screw a thing of
The
peanut
lid,
butter
right?
into a tree,
Yeah.
and they have to open it with hands, which is something that's a pretty cool idea. Or even if they stick their hands in it to dig it out, they're going to leave imprints of hands. And Bob, when we first started doing this, I was the guy who said, Bob, raccoons, skunks, possums, they're going to eat this stuff. He's like, okay, so the other animals enjoy it too. It's not hurting anything. You got to do so, and Bob taught me a lot about the woods. He made me look at things a lot differently than I did beforehand. And I hunted every chance I got. I was in the woods all the time, I was that typical guy, born and bred and raised in the woods, and that's what I did. And Bigfoot can't be out here without me knowing it.
Right.
I learned
So
a lot.
Donna Ho asked, do you have a guesstimate as to the numbers of Bigfoot in Ohio territories?
I don't. They have family units. They don't. There's no inbreeding going on, because if they did, they would have, really screwed themselves up over the years. And the Indians do talk about how they'll see a younger male type traveling through to another tribe of Bigfoot in other places. I know that there has to be 25, 30, 40 Bigfoot, but you don't know how much they're moving either. So they're semi-nomadic. They don't just live at Salt Fork or Guernsey County or Harrison County or something like this. That one family could consist of 6 or 7 people, or creatures, people, whatever you want to call them. And although they stay in Harrison County a lot, that family could be the one that's seen in Guernsey and Coshocton and Jefferson and all these other counties around. So there's no real way to tell.
Bindernagel had recorded tracks that matched the same specimen. I think it was like 58 miles apart.
The crooked foot one that had the
Well, no, that was Krantz, Grover Krantz. Bindernagel found one up in British Columbia that he had found tracks from, and it was like all the way across the island.
Wow. And for them to, like I said, they're bigger, faster, stronger, see better, do everything better. For them to be able to go, hey, remember this place in Harrison County? They had these blackberries this time of year. Let's go there. So they go there. When the corn is coming up, they're going to be in Holmes County, where there's, acres and acres and acres of corn. Deer. This is a great time for fawns to be out. Wherever they have a purpose to go there, I just don't know what it is.
Right.
Jen says, I think they associate anything in your hands or near your face as a bad thing. They must have seen that happen with hunters.
Hunters have
a guilt by association sort of thing. Anything that would be in our hands.
They've given us a bad rap. Look what they did with the buffalo and everything that we've come in contact with. In the 1800s, they say that Ohio built London. They would come in, and Ohio had these massive trees that they just took out.
Yeah.
Took out and shipped them, with no.
On the lakes, and out they went.
Yeah, they paid no attention to our natural resources. So we don't have a real good, past history like that. But if you read Bob's book, he talks about people having their hands open and to the side. I'm not here to do anything to you. They're smart enough to avoid us. They're smart enough to know what a gun is.
Yeah. Nancy said, "Do you think Bigfoot observes humans to learn our behavior?"
Absolutely.
Yep. I agree.
We're TV for them. There's so many times that, back in the 50s when Bigfoot name was coined, it was because they were watching these people work and make roads and then destroying them once they left for the evening. Of course, yeah, they'll watch you. You come and go. They know that. Once the lights go off in your house, your yard is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Leave that pie on the back window and let it cool overnight. See if it's there.
And that's what I got about when we were out there at the workshop. That's exactly what it felt like, because the intensity just ramped up toward the end of the night, and it really did. It felt like something was like, you know what, guys, we tolerated you all day.
Yeah,
it's ours. We want to be. This is ours now. You're not supposed to be here. This is when everything closes. Why are you here? We want to be here. This is our time, and that's what I got from it.
I think that they. And I'll give this away, part of the stuff that I've been working on, but let's imagine for just a minute, snowing, those big puffy flakes around Christmas time, 30 degrees, not really cold outside, but it's dark, the snow's coming down, and you see this light this house with all these lights on it, and you're mesmerized by it. All these Christmas lights twinkling and blinking and standing off in the woods, and you don't realize that the dog was just let out. And all of a sudden, the dog comes chasing at you, barking, and the lights come on in the backyard, and off they go on a dead run. And what do? We meet them with gunshots, with dogs. Here come those blue and red lights down the road, sirens blaring all over the place, people tromping through the woods trying to hunt you down, and all you were doing was looking at the lights. Those are the kind of, if you sit back and you think about encounters that they've had with people, that's not a pleasant time. I wouldn't want to do that. Anytime that they've had interaction with us, it hasn't really been positive.
Miss Trackway said, do you think they're performing the same sorts of experiments on us as we do them?
They know what you're doing, and they're going to watch how you react. And I'll give you a good example of that. My wife, we were at Southern Ohio, and Bob and my wife, I fell asleep down by a tree. I was tired. I was working. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Bob and my wife walked down the road. They started up a hill. And about 100 yards down at the bottom of this ravine, something started screaming at them. And it sounded, they described it later as like it had killed a raccoon and had this raccoon and was beating it against a tree. So whether it was beating something against a tree or beating its chest, whatever it was screaming at them. My wife, being my wife, started walking down the hill toward it. Instant silence. Now, that thing had to be like, what the hell is this woman doing? You're supposed to run.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised them that she started down the hill toward them. It's like, okay, well, this didn't work out so well. And that was the same family group that we had been working with, and that they have, they eventually let Steve and I see them.
Yeah, I think it's key what you're saying, Glenn. You're saying they let, because
Yeah.
I've said
Yeah.
this multiple times. You're not going to see this unless it wants you to see it, in
Well,
my opinion. And if you
you're
do, it's just going to be
100%
a
right.
glimpse.
And I took you guys to where I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in that
Yeah.
distance that Steve and I walked toward it in the dark, it could have disappeared to its left, to its right, to anywhere it wanted to. It saw us coming from a long way away.
Yeah.
And you saw the hill that it went up.
That's crazy. Yeah. Straight up.
The first 10 feet, we'd have to use ropes to get up it. I mean,
Yeah.
and this thing just went up.
It's at least an 80-degree incline.
It's crazy.
Yep.
So when you're out there, because you've been doing this stuff for ages, you've done the gifting, you've done the going out, obviously using the Squatch stick. Have you found a method that works best?
I will give you, go look up online. And I have nothing to do with this book, so please don't think I'm selling a book. Robert Morgan wrote the Bigfoot Pocket Manual. Now, Robert is almost 90 right now. He's not in the greatest health. I have not talked to Robert in a long time. I've talked to the people that are taking care of Robert. But if you go to the Robert Morgan Project on Facebook, I think you can look up some of the things that Robert, it'll tell you about Robert now. But Robert Morgan wrote the Bigfoot Pocket Manual. Little did I know that why my wife and Steve Jones and everybody were working with Robert, he was actually
You were guinea pigs. You were guinea pigs.
Yeah, he was using us the entire time. Because after it was done, we read it and we're like, I did that. Oh, Bob, that was not right. That's why you made us, so it's like you just said, Brian, and I can't say about it. You're not going, the Finding Bigfoot show is it's a good show with good people. But the name of it, Finding Bigfoot, is so wrong because you're not going to go find Bigfoot. Good luck,
Looking for Bigfoot, right? Is that what it should be called?
That's what it should be called. I mean, we hit
out of the woods for Bigfoot to come by is what it should be called.
We hit gold when we were out filming, and then the drone that they landed, they turned it off without saving the data and wiped an entire, I think it was 18 minutes of thermal footage.
Wow.
And there was something that stepped across a creek that I went back and measured, and the creek was 6 feet wide in the area that it stepped across. And it just walked across it. Wasn't jumping, it just took a single stride.
Well, and going to the shows and stuff, the Finding Bigfoot show, Cliff is a very, very nice guy. And I was talking with him one night, and I said, Cliff, why didn't you stay there? You guys heard this, you knew something was in the area, and you left. He said, dude, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
We TV, those guys got a project. They got to film the next day, and they got to be in this place the next, 48 hours. And
Bigfoot comes out and slaps you silly. Next morning, you're on your way to Kentucky because, we've got reservations there and we've got to make another episode. Yeah. So no matter what happens, this is what you got to do. And I get it. It's money, entertainment. But without that, you wouldn't have the interest that there is.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many kids grew up watching Finding Bigfoot and
I don't know.
Expedition Bigfoot?
I can't wait till our new show comes on called Waiting for Bigfoot.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what it's going to be called. We dropped the name, guys. This is the secret project.
It's Waiting for Bigfoot.
It's called Waiting for
tragic
Bigfoot.
Dramedy.
And it follows us into the woods as we sit and eat candy and drink coffee while we wait for Bigfoot. Every episode.
And you know what? That would be more realistic.
It would be.
Some of our, I mean, that's what we do. We've actually had to go and sit forever, just
8
like
o'clock.
Yeah, there was. I wanted to make sure that when we were out filming with Seth last time, we took him out to Wanderley, right?
Yeah.
And we were out there, and like going up, we knew like everything was like the weather wasn't great. It was nothing was lining up that we're gonna have activity. If we had activity, it's because we got up there and made something mad. That's what was going to happen. And we get up there, everything's going, and we're sitting there and nothing. Like we're just getting skunked for the most part. We did find a footprint there at the end of the night, but we were getting pretty well skunked. We had some weird light phenomena happening, but aside from that, we're sitting there, and I made sure to say it while they were recording. I said, this is Bigfooting. This is real.
It's real
Bigfoot. You're sitting in the woods,
right? Waiting. Absolutely, and the difference is, and I've never even said this before to anybody. The difference is somebody looking for Bigfoot sitting in the woods and somebody who's not was sitting in the woods, and they hear something, immediately say, well, that was a deer or that was a bear, and they get up and walk away. Where the person looking for Bigfoot would be, let's sit here for a little bit longer and see what happens. A deer's not going to pick up a stick and throw it at you, or a rock.
Right.
You've got to give it a prolonged period of, I heard that noise, but what is that noise?
Yeah.
It could be a ghost possum. I don't know, but.
So, Liza, what is,
oh my gosh. Are we going
what was it like for you growing up with both of your parents being Bigfooter and you not really being into it until last year?
I mean, it was pretty normal. My dad didn't really force it on me. He always told me, you can believe what you want. Like,
that's awesome.
It was never really forced on me. I grew up always watching Bigfoot movies and finding Bigfoot because that's always what was on. But I don't know. It was
she had no choice. Yeah, she had zero choice.
My favorite movie was a Bigfoot movie. It was that one.
Harry and the Hendersons?
Yes.
I watched that movie all the time, but I always had nightmares.
Unbelievable.
But you know what? Harry and the Hendersons was. I swear that was like put into effect to get people's interest in Bigfoot. Because it's so cool, and the messages, they give so many different messages during that movie that really lets people think. And that's all you can do.
Men in Black says that it's more likely a deer-bear hybrid than a Wookiee who definitely does not exist and certainly knows he isn't opposed to reveal himself according to the treaty, allegedly.
Oh my God.
Fair enough. As I said, ask the question. Who am I to argue? I mean, I'm looking for a 8-foot tall hominid that doesn't exist in the woods at night. So, okay, I'm the one that's going to like tell you that something can't be real, or you just gotta,
Harry and the Hendersons was a great movie, though.
It was, it was awesome. It really was. And they had, the guy who hunted them down, bald head, goatee, just like Bob Morgan, with a French accent like Rene DeHinden.
Yeah.
And the professor looked a lot like John Green.
Yep.
So they really took a lot. And those museums exist in Northern California. I've been to a couple of them, and you walk in and it's like, oh my God, this is craziness. And but you also, when you go to Northern California and you run into people and you mention Bigfoot, they don't look at you like they do in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
They kind of look at you like, well, okay, I saw one too. You want a burger? You want cheese on that or not?
Yeah.
So, Liza, after you had your experience there at the workshop, when you came home and told your mom about it, or probably even on the phone call home, I'm sure there was a phone call home before you even.
There wasn't, because they fell asleep immediately.
Oh, well, that tracks. I can see that happen.
That's funny.
So how did that conversation with your mom go?
I just think she said that was cool. I don't think she said too much about it. I don't really remember though.
You understand?
About time. Okay.
I mean, yeah, she's been here.
Carry on.
My dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She's had her own interactions.
She's seen some stuff.
Yeah.
Octopus says, I feel like they're throwing rocks and acorns trying to get us to react or gauging our reactions. They must be trying to pique our interests, get us to investigate. They're curious about our curiosity.
They're trying to figure out what we're going to do, right? I mean,
sure, at times I could see that. And there's other times and stories that I've heard from people where it wasn't a pique your curiosity. It was, you need to go. Rocks started getting a little bigger.
Yeah, when the rocks are like 8, 12 pounds, it's kind of like, that hits me. It's not going to feel good.
Time to go, and they think about it. If you have nothing else to do.
Well, I'm not sure where he's at.
He's out to dinner.
Is he out? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He took his mom out to dinner tonight.
Oh, cool.
He should be on, I'd say, here in the next 15 minutes or so.
I've heard it depends on what's going on. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I'm sure they're trying to mess with you. Other times, I just don't think that they want you around.
Octopus said, yeah, bigger rocks. That's a GTFO message there.
Well, we had one of those.
Yeah.
And we didn't. So, and that's the only thing I kind of feel bad about. We stayed. And they literally told us to get out. And we stayed. So we kind of deserved everything we got from that point on.
Which was still fun.
It was fun. But then in the end, when when the stuff started raining on the canopy, that was really, okay, it's time to get going at this point. So yeah, they made it pretty clear in the end, get out. And we didn't ignore them that time.
And they can do that. I really think that, and it's not, I've heard people call it different things, mind speak and other stuff. But I think it's just like I said, when you walk into a room and you're not welcome because something else is going on, you get that feeling and you turn around and you leave.
It's heavy. Yeah. Hey, Ashley, it's heavy and it's a heavy feeling. And I think that's what, that's what you're getting at.
I've talked to people who've had it. I had it when I was younger, and I want to go back to this place at some point. I was deer hunting with my dad, and we were in a known place for that, but I was 15 years old at the time. And about a half hour before it got dark, it got deathly quiet. And I got scared.
Yeah.
I had no reason to be scared. But I was so afraid at the time that I took my shotgun and I fired slugs into a tree.
Oh, wow.
And I turned around and I left the woods. And my dad asked me later, he says, what were you shooting at? He says, wow, nothing really. He's like, did you get scared? I'm like, yeah. He said, I thought so. And he left it at that.
Wow.
So, but I had no reason. It was 4:30. It was daylight. Didn't have to leave the woods till 5. But I got scared for some reason. I have no idea why. And
you just brought that silence thing, because we see this in other cases as well, not just Bigfoot, but in the Bigfoot case, it's more thought that this is a predatory response, right? Like there's a big thing that's moving through the woods and everything else is like, shut up.
Right.
And everything just goes quiet, right?
That's what I've always gotten from it. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's happened a few times. We're, like I said, when we were in Southern Ohio doing this stuff, and other places I've gone, it's just dead silent. I remember a time hunting that, and I know I found out later that my uncle and my cousin had an encounter and didn't tell us. But in that same place, weeks before that, I remember walking through the woods, squirrel hunting, or maybe I was bow hunting. I don't remember which. But, at noon on that day, I got a whiff of a skunk that about gagged me. And I didn't.
Are you sure you just didn't walk into your own fart?
I don't do that in the woods. I don't know why. That's offensive. But, just different stuff you look back on now and you're like, yeah, that was kind of weird then. Yeah. I wish I would have thought more about it then, but.
So, cool. Glenn, Danny wants to know, what is the best time and the worst time you've had out?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, she has to go.
All right. See you later.
Thank you for blessing us with your presence, and we hope to see you soon.
She's going to send you an appearance fee, so.
Yeah.
Check will be in the mail.
Yep.
I got to live with her, guys.
Gosh.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
How you put up with that?
So, best time and worst time. Best time, probably when I had my sighting. I mean, that was you got to the top of the mountain that day. And
where do you go from there? Right.
Hoping that we have a better day sometime,
Yeah.
We joke all the time with you guys about, I want to be the one that has a beer, but I'd love to.
Yeah.
Worst time, I don't know. It's never have I felt in danger of my life or anything like that. It's really not a bad time for me when I'm in the woods. There's less times that are less fun with, it's raining or muddy or cold or something like that. But I mean, I've had some great experiences. I've stayed in places that, we weren't supposed to really stay, but we did. We slept in caves, overhangs, and one time we were at this huge overhang. It was called a cave, but it's really not. And we were back underneath it, and a thunderstorm rolled in, and the lightning and the thunder and the rain, and we were completely dry. And it was, that's a time I'll never forget. It was awesome.
I think my worst one, because I've had really fun ones out with people, and they know what they were, and some of them have been with you guys. But the worst one, I was actually by myself, and there was like 65-mile-an-hour winds, and I was on the trail of something. Like, I was on the back end of an area, and we were out doing cleanup anyway. So I was out there actually on the job, and big winds rolled in, man. And now I did get to see in person. You know how some people will post pictures of these Bigfoot tree twists that are like the entire tree that looks like it's been twisted and spiraled down. I watched that physically happen to a tree from like a wind gust that came down on it.
Wow.
And the tree just went because the bark or the fibers on the interior they grew in a twist, I guess, and it just spiraled out and it exploded. And like, I got hit with little, like, what do I say, little? There were pieces of wood that was as big as a pin that came flying everywhere. And then just trying my best to get out of the woods after that. But yeah. So Jeff asked a good question here and says, to the whole group, what are Bigfoots? Giant ape or something more supernatural?
Subject A and B. Yeah, subject A and B. They're two different things, I think. At this point, that's the data. What do you got?
The answer I give, they are what they are. And the reason I say that is not avoiding the question or anything else. I look back at Native American tribes They always refer to them as the forest giants, the giant people, the woods people, stuff like that. They, I don't want to say a good way to say they're their own tribe. They are what they are. I don't believe they're a monkey. I don't believe, they're obviously smarter than us because they avoid us at all costs. And I'm not saying that their IQ is bigger. I'm just they're in their environment, in their domain, they win. Period.
Yeah.
They are who they are. You hear all kinds of legends that they're here to, take over when we really screw things up. You hear that they. You probably want to stop for this, huh?
Oh yeah, Adam. Good. Thank you. Adam coming back from dinner on fire. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, bud. Little uke for you. Go on.
So
with
Scott
that. That's a
Scott
good
said he
question.
started out 100% flesh and blood homicide. So 100% flesh and blood murder machine. No, he meant to say hominid there. But now his views have changed. This field, you don't get many answers, just more questions.
100% agree with you.
Truth.
Trackway agrees.
100%.
Teresa says that she agrees with Scott. Honestly, didn't start out with much interest in Bigfoot at all, simply because I accepted it all as flesh and blood creature. It was only when I started learning about their weirder side that I really became interested in the phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
So, Glenn, go ahead and finish that thought there.
Which one? I'm sorry.
You were talking about the flesh and blood aspect.
And I believe that tracks, you've got to be flesh to leave a track. There's scat that's been found. There's hair that's been found. There's, animals that have been mutilated and killed by something that has hands that was able to twist the elk leg off as if it was a chicken leg. So, but again, let's get back to the, I believe that, but I'm also not going to disbelieve what other people are saying about anything else that they do. Again, Native American tribes talk about these people being able to do crazy things. Their strength, their size, everything else about them. How do they disappear like they do? How do they? There's again what that person just said. There's more questions than answers, and that's why there is no Bigfoot expert. I don't care who he is. There are a lot of people out there that know a lot more about the subject than any other person. But experts, what are you an expert of? We don't even know what it is yet.
Wendy is saying that she was taught that they are physical and very dangerous, especially to women. So she's fascinated with all of these encounters.
They a lot of, again, stories, whether it was to keep the kids close to the fire at night, they had bad outcomes for people.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt wrote of a bad outcome for some trappers that wandered into an area that they shouldn't have. But, and Bob always told us at the very beginning, they never travel alone. And I don't mean they're side by side. When they're alone or they're being together could be 100 or 200 yards apart. Many of these stories that you hear about, we heard something over to our right, and then you heard something to your left. So, there was multiple people there. If you and I are walking in the woods together and somebody hurts you, I'm going to take my vengeance out on that person.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to find them if I can, and I'm going to hurt them. Did this family have a bad encounter with a person that killed one of theirs? Did this family have, somebody who shot and they're, Grandpa Bigfoot walks with a limp. You don't know the kind of encounters you've had before you. I talked to a hunter who told me I killed one. I said, "You did? How did you do that?" He says, "Well, I was in the back of a pickup truck after a deer drive. It came out of the woods and started walking toward the truck, and I shot it twice with pumpkin balls into its chest." I said, "Well, what happened did you keep the body?" Or he says, "No, it turned around and ran off into the woods." Now, I don't know if that individual died, lived, but guess what? Any hunter that comes around, I'm going to have an attitude toward it at that point.
You're either going to have a really bad attitude or you're going to stay away from it.
Right. Again, goes back to what kind of encounters have they, we talk about encounters with a Bigfoot or encounters with a grizzly bear or something like that. These guys are having encounters with us. What kind of,
not good ones.
Everybody's as happy and cheerful and polite to be around as I am.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not every day that you get asked about how your butthole's doing, right?
That's right. That's
right.
God,
that was the greatest.
That made your day.
CJ said, "Have you guys seen orbs or UFO around Bigfoot sightings like some people have said?"
I mean, maybe. It's possible, right, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, there could be something out there. Maybe like I don't know, ghost possum right there.
Our ghost possums in the woods.
There it is. They're real. And then in the same area, I don't know. There's the one from Salt Fork, and there's the one from Logan. Both areas, literally, Salt Fork is where Glenn is talking about. He had his first sighting, and Logan's where we caught the thermal, whatever that was, walking humanoid-looking giant thing.
So
yeah.
So we have seen these phenomena occurring in the same place, but we haven't seen, Bigfoot posing with an orb like the Heisman Trophy.
Not yet.
Yet.
Not
so
yet. I won't rule it out.
It's different boxes. While these things do seem to happen quite frequently in the same areas, there's no real data that shows that they are directly connected.
No, I got to say, even if I saw that, I'd still say that's still got to be subject B, because that could be something messing with our heads, right? I mean, that may not be, you know what I'm saying? So that could not be Bigfoot.
I agree.
Yeah. So even if I saw that.
There was a big conversation at one time of Bigfoot in a cemetery. Lots of sightings occurred of Bigfoot, on the outskirts of a cemetery or something like that. And the question was, why would Bigfoot hang out in a cemetery? Do you think it's a connection?
The mills don't run away.
Well, that's true.
Maybe.
It goes back to what we've talked about before and saying, to have a Bigfoot sighting, you got to have a Bigfoot. You got to have somebody to see it. There is a lot of paranormal groups that go to cemeteries at night to do this thing. Instead of random somewhere in the woods, they're at a cemetery. And if they have an encounter, or if there is a creature there, or if there's, some type of activity and they record it, it's like Bigfoot was at the cemetery. Bigfoot wasn't at the cemetery. You were at the cemetery. And you just happen to record it. Well, why does Bigfoot cross the road all the time? He probably crosses the road 1,000 times a day. It's just that one time you saw him cross the road.
Yeah.
Why is Bigfoot at Salt Fork? There's a lot of people at Salt Fork.
Yep.
Bigfoot doesn't live at Salt Fork. But when he comes through there or is in the area, there's enough people that actually see him. So they automatically, Salt Fork is Bigfoot's home. You got to step back at some of these things. Bigfoot was at the cemetery, but how do you know? Because you were at the cemetery too.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Guys, let's get some likes and some shares and all that fun stuff out here. This has been a fascinating conversation, and we're still rolling with it. So let's get some more people in here and get some questions for Glenn. It's
Currently everybody in the chat, you
cool.
guys have all liked the video. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Share it out,
Remember,
tell some friends.
remember, when you do hit those emotes, we do apparently get some kind of algorithmic reward for that. So just let that roll. What?
Just to be clear, this donation is to be put in the name of Seth Lemeli. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Seth
Lemel.
Lemeli,
Yeah.
Lemel Ding Dong, because he is a boomer and has no idea how to work the
Okay.
buttons or how to make monetary donations.
I understand.
Seth wants to be a producer.
Seth, add
Beans
Seth to
Lemel, producer.
there you go. Add him to the
Let it be made so.
Let it be known. The proclamation
Oh man,
has
you guys
taken
are
place. And you guys, we have gone up, see, on a couple of subs. Thank you so
guys.
very much. That is awesome. I'm going to go over here and check and see if you guys have got any little awards yet. So let's check this. But yeah,
then we'll jump back into these questions.
Get some questions up for Glenn. He's nice enough to join us about once a year or so on here.
Oh,
And,
whatever.
You know, he's a busy man. You know, he's just he's got
Well,
so much.
I'm not going to be so busy now. She's graduated.
I know.
Going to Europe.
What are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do?
This.
Yep,
I'm going to call you when I'm bored and say,
"Yep,
let's do something."
There you go. I like it. So we might see Glenn sitting in the co-host seat every now and again. That's what we're saying.
Sounds good to me, man.
And you know, we'll have four co-hosts or four hosts or whatever we are. I don't even consider myself a co-host. I'm a host. You're a host. He's a host.
We've got so many things. I lived in a haunted house.
That's right. We got a lot to talk about.
I went to.
People don't know the full story of Glenn Adkins.
It's anything that was weird. I was involved in at some point. The only thing I don't. When my parents saw a UFO and they were young.
Oh wait, what? Whoa! Back up here. What? Really?
Yeah, they actually, by the house that I grew up in, right up the street, my grandma lived at, and my mom and dad were dating at the time, and they were going. It was on Cleveland National Road in Norton, Barberton area, I think, and it would speed up ahead of them, and they would pull up to it, and it would shoot off ahead.
Oh wow!
And I played this game with them for 20 minutes. And finally, it just took off. So they went back to my grandma's house, and they pulled in the driveway, went up on the porch, were telling them everybody what was going on, and of course my grandma and grandpa were laughing at them, telling them they're crazy. And they looked across the street, and it was hovering across the house across the street from them, watching them.
Oh wow!
And then it took off again. And these are my parents who are about as religious as you get, and I don't like UFO stuff because you can't control that. I can control the Bigfoot stuff because I could just stay at home and never go in the woods again. The ghost stuff, I'll just stay at home. I don't have to deal with that.
Well, they might follow you home.
Those little bastards come in your room at night. And they ask you questions.
Yeah, they ask you questions
about yourself. You gotta tell that story. Have you told the story?
We did, but not on here. I don't think we told it on here. We told it at the workshop.
I don't think it's been
as soon as she got home, as soon as my wife picked her up that day, that was the first thing she told her. The whole day we did stuff all day long, and the first story was, "Mom, Dad yelled butthole."
No, he didn't just yell. Like, let me explain this to you guys, okay? Because you really have to paint this picture before you can really visualize what's happening. You guys who was at my remote viewing thing last night, here's your chance. Remote view this because it was priceless. We're on the 3rd floor of the lodge at Salt Fork. Now we're on one side and Glenn's on the other side. There's probably about 10, 11 feet from us, something like that between us.
Right. Well, we're right across from each other.
If that, yeah.
If that.
Close to that, but it'll never happen again, though.
My point is there's a lot of people. No, probably won't. We'll probably be kicked out forever. There's a lot of people here is what we're getting at. Glenn's got his booth set up. We got our booth set up. I'm over here talking to a customer. When all of a sudden, what shall rang out throughout the entire building, and I know they heard him on the 2nd floor. They had to hear him on the 2nd floor. Glenn, why don't you do your best on this? Because it was priceless. First you said, so what about it?
Well, this guy walks in, and it wasn't a kid. He was with his parents.
Yeah.
So you got a picture like a 22, 23-year-old guy.
He thought he was going to be funny.
Yeah, walking, fine, but they're walking, and my daughter, who's sitting beside me, talks to Mike and says, "Mike, I dare you." And Mike says, "I'm not doing it." I'm like, "Doing what?" She's dead. Look at his shirt. And he had this shirt on that had an alien spacecraft with a beam coming down that says, "Ask me about my butthole." So he's got his back to me. He's looking at your table with stuff, and I yell, "Hey, what about it?" He turns around, and my daughter is like going, "What?" And I start. So it gets worse.
Oh, it gets way worse.
Oh, wow. Tell me about your butthole. You can't wear a shirt like that around here and not expect someone to ask you about your butthole. And at this point, his parents are pointing at him saying, "We told you not to wear that shirt." Well, so Joe, heaven forbid, be outdone, Joe grabs a stick. Go ahead, do your impression of the butthole.
So I've made, we make these walking sticks. I take them out to the shows, the Bigfoot shows specifically for hiking sticks and whatnot. And it all comes out of some of our research areas, out of storm damaged trees. Mm-hmm. Well, there was one particular one that I actually grew out back here from, I just let it grow because I was like, I'm going to turn this into a wizard staff. So I had a big bulbous end on one end where the roots started, and then the walking stick part. So it's like
Gandalf appears, basically, is what he's saying.
So I pick up the Gandalf staff and yell out, "Tell me about your butthole!" And like he at this point now is getting it from 2 different directions.
Well, at this point,
look at Joe, and gives me the key that says, "Hey, I still want to hear about your butthole," and it's getting louder. So everybody in the convention starts.
Everybody stops doing what they're doing.
And then he goes on his wizard tangent. And this kid is literally turning redder than anything I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
His face is about the collar of the E up above my head.
I felt bad.
You cannot wear a shirt like that and expect nobody to react.
So then I go over to him and I have that stick and I'm like, "So which side do we start with? The big end or the little end?" I'm assuming that you just got done with the guys in the spaceship. So probably the big end. And he was just, he was choking. He was laughing so hard he couldn't breathe.
Very, very quickly.
It was a lot about his butthole in a brief moment of time. And like, he was probably very overwhelmed.
Shaking his head. Shouldn't have wore that shirt.
He learned not to wear that shirt.
Oh man.
He definitely learned not
and
to wear
so this is going to be our new motto. So how's your beehole, Glenn Adkins? CJ Boker says, "I think that Bigfoots are playful animals and hide and go seek to them. And I think UFOs and aliens are demonic realms that fell from heaven with Satan." That's a take.
That's a take. You can think whatever you want. We don't have enough data to say either way.
And you know what, they do hide. They're better at it than we are.
Yeah.
And then Wendy says, "You have to be okay with UFOs out there. It's all mountains, water, and military bases."
That's true.
Yeah.
Then
Terry said, "Apparently things like to say hello around me. It happened 3 times to me. Last time was at the workshop." Something's trying to get your attention, Terry.
Hello.
Then let's see who we got. Everyone should ask how his butthole is after using the pooper at Go-Mart. Oh God.
No, Adam.
Wendy thoroughly enjoyed the story.
Oh, you had to be there, Wendy.
It was worse when you were there.
It was very worse.
Oh, it was amazing.
How bad was it?
Amazing. Literally the only thing that would have made that better is if like the ghost of Wayne Barnes descended into the room.
I didn't record it. That's how bad it was.
Scott Holbrook, keeping it free. Thank you, Glenn, for coming on the show. I love your outlook.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Scott. You are appreciated.
Earlier when you did that, where he comes out of the clouds, my daughter said, "Who is that and why are they doing that?"
As do so many people. As do so many people. Every 3 or 4 months, we have to go back and tell the origin story of that.
I think it's great, Scott. Thank you very much, though. It's really, really cool that you appreciate their show like that, and to say that was pretty cool.
Teresa says the butthole story was well worth $50.
You know what? We'll make up some more butthole stories if you need.
The last thing you want to do is be in a place with me and Glenn and anyone else that could possibly get involved in the conversation, and really, because it will get off collar fast.
And that's how we met.
It is 100%. You guys, Wayne would not leave me alone.
West Virginia guys.
That was mostly Wayne. I was nice.
It was Wayne. Yeah.
And you were nice. Whatever. You guys, you and Wayne would not leave me alone. And Ron at one point like looked at Kelly because my wife was with us at the show. And they were like, did they know him? Does he know these folks? And I overheard them saying that. And I said, no, I have no idea who these guys are.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were like selling each other's stuff off their tables. I mean, it was like, what in the world is going on here? It was cool.
Wayne, I think, came over and sold more of our stuff than he did.
Yeah. Then we felt sorry for him. And I had to buy one of those stupid Bigfoot.
The fine concrete that is out front of our homes.
Yeah, that one.
We both went away with one.
Sure did. And he's the one who won the game. He laughed all the way.
Oh,
Larry, keeping it free. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Larry. You are amazing. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Okay. That's enough.
Oh man.
You got to have fun. That's the whole point. And Glenn, I think that's the whole thing I'm trying to take away from this and trying to actually put out there for people. It's like, you can be researchers. You can be as serious and as you want to be, but you're not going to find anything any faster than the other guy. And I want to be the other guy who's just
holy crap.
Oh, shit. All right. I'm going to start taking requests.
Trackway. Thank you.
Finding the trackway. Thank you.
You guys are killing it tonight. Thank you, guys.
They're wanting that workshop bad, Joe.
I know they're wanting the Bigfoot workshop. It's
They're like, if we
it
throw
has-
enough money at them, they'll have to do it. It's coming, guys. Just chill. We got things we got to take care of first. It'll come. Don't worry. Promise.
Octopus said, "I've already ordered the Robert Morgan book you recommended, my friend.
Yes!
Thanks for coming on the show. This is the best show there is."
Octopus.
Well,
that
I'm
book.
going to ask a really dumb question because I made you guys buy it and read it, and now I cannot remember the name of it to save my life.
Oh,
it was the something people.
Soul Snatchers.
Soul Snatchers.
Search.
Soul Snatchers. Another one by Robert Morgan. And I tell you what, the reason I have such a hard time remembering that is when it first came out, it was called Legend Quest, the Ultimate Legend Quest. And I've had the original manuscript. I have the original recording, the tapes, the audio.
Ashley Hilt, this one's for you. Sky jelly, sky jelly, sky jelly, sky jelly, sky jelly, sky jelly, sky. There you go. Like I said, you can be, serious, or you can you can be me. I wouldn't do that one.
But Soul Snatchers.
Soul Snatchers, yeah.
Another one by Robert Morgan, and I worked with Robert. I again, but don't ask me. Ask Ron and Joe. That's something
that's a tough one. I'm just going to say this: we need more data.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've all.
So Jeff is up there with the Squatch Project and or the Ohio Sasquatch Project, and he says, Ron, if it's A and B, is B mimicking A? If so, why mimic a relatively small population of the planet?
Yeah, because there's okay, sure. Let's go to speculation.
Just go for it. You've talked about this a long time ago, so
right.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while, right? There is a possibility that we are. How do I say this without losing half the audience? There's a possibility that humans, as we are now, we're not always like this. I believe, honestly, at this point, that there's maybe data sets that point to those guys out there in the woods. That might be humans before the upgrade, so to speak, if that makes sense. And there may be some who are like, we want to keep these guys here. And there's a reason they're keeping those guys here, is what I'm saying. There's a reason they kept a select breeding group of these things around, in my opinion. And, read the book. You'll understand a little bit more, I think, because it kind of shocked me when I read it. Glenn's not kidding. And he told me to read that book, by the way, for a year. And I didn't do it. And then one day I did. And I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I read this? So that's how relevant that is to the AB thing. So
it's going to mess with your mind. I mean, it's one of those that
mess with your head.
Read it and you're like, oh, that's crap. Is it?
No.
Maybe it's crap. Maybe okay, wait a minute. If it's not crap, then what? Okay, let me rethink my entire thing about it. But it's not so deep that you can't. It gives you thought. Yeah. It gives you thought. Mm-hmm. It's like that saying that I told you. I want to wonder often wonder, because it's not wondering, but
No, absolutely. And, I think one of the most relevant things about that book is that we're getting First Nations accounts in this book. And to me, that's very relevant. I'm not one of those people who's like, it's a legend. If you say that it's just a legend, that is so dismissive, and you are absolutely, you're never going to figure it out, because those legends are what we're all built upon. It's what everything came from. You just have to look at it and relation to all this other stuff that you got. It'll make sense if you read it, though.
We were talking about that before the show, you and I, and made the comment about, the difference between legends and history.
Yeah.
History is what they wrote down that they want you to believe, and legends actually what happened.
Yeah, it's so true.
And Nino Cochise in that book, he had adopted Bob. I mean, you're getting information direct from Nino that
Yes,
you can never get. And there's got to be something going on there that, like we were talking about again before the show, how pre-internet, they've got better records of what happened than we do now after the internet.
yeah, because it wasn't messed up.
Yeah, nobody screwed with it.
Yeah, it's hard to go back and edit books, right, guys?
Yep. We had for example, in our West Virginia history books that we had back from, I think it was 96 to 2003, the book that was used, it actually did mention the giants that were found in the mounds here in West Virginia, and that was in the textbook.
Yeah. Then they disappeared. It's true. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to go back and base these books. That's why you'll see, like, I have a massive collection of books, and I may not be able to read all those books, but I'll tell you this, I'm going to grab every single one I can, because I know that if I need to know something, it's a solid thing. And I can also use it as data, because I can look at, what they're saying over here on this website now that's discrediting it. And I can say, well, why are they saying that? Because here's the actual, what it really says. And then you turn into this whole thing. It's almost what happened with religion, right, Joe? It's like someone picked and chose what they wanted to, to highlight. It's the same thing that's happening with all knowledge pretty much. So yeah, get those books, guys. It's important. Keep that alive.
They're really good reads.
They really are.
So we've got catch up over here.
Got
Miss Rackway said, serious question for all. What is your go-to field investigation technique? Sit and listen, run and gun, act normal and hope they mess with you. How do you go about this and why? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Glenn. You've done this before any of us.
What's your go-to investigation? A lot of it depends on what's going on. Okay, I'll give you a good example. Mohegan State Park in Ohio. It's become a place that there's a lot of activity going on. And Bobo told me that when they filmed there, that he actually had an encounter with one. He thought it was a crew member walking toward him, and it wasn't. But, if I would go into a place like that, I usually walk around as much as I can, get into the area, let them know I'm there. There's a lot of other campers there. So what I want to do is do something different. When the time comes, those campers go to bed, I'm going to go for a walkabout. Could be in the parking lots, could be down the road, could be on a trail, whatever. I want to be out moving when nobody else is. They know that you're there. They understand that you're there. If you're there by yourself or you're in an area where there's been activity and you've been fortunate enough to been contacted and say, hey, we've got Bigfoot activity going on in my backyard at night and this and that, and nobody else is going to be there, then I'm going to go there. I'm going to build a fire. I'm going to have a couple friends, and we're going to sit and we're going to talk to each other. We're going to joke around, play some music, act stupid, have a few beers. It's okay. Give them the opportunity to come to you. Me running into a place that says, well, I saw Bigfoot on the hill. Guess what? He's not there anymore. But if I give them a chance to and make myself interesting, which, Bigfoot doesn't know me like everybody else does, and I'm as interesting as they possibly can be. So once Bigfoot realizes that, he's going to come in and he's going to hang out with me. I'm going to go out in the woods and I'm going to talk to him. And you say, well, you look like an idiot. Who cares what I look like? Who's going to see me? A Bigfoot or nobody else? I'm there by I'm walking out in the woods and I'm going to have a conversation with them. give them a shot at you. You are not
Mhm.
going to, just because Bigfoot was on that trail, he's not there now. So running into that trail and looking around, okay, that's great, but give them a shot at you. And again, I told you guys about the pocket manual. It tells you, give them, and don't just set up where they are making noise to come in to get you. Give them a chance, give them a strategical edge, if you want to say, that they can come in and see you closer than you can see them. Well, why are you there?
Yeah.
Try to see a Bigfoot or try to have an encounter or try to have some type of a relationship.
Well, I think that's the problem, though, Glenn. It depends on what you're doing, right? Like you
Right.
said, are you trying to get data, or are you just trying to have a contact experience?
Right.
Because if you're going to have contact experience, I'm going to do exactly what you said. I'm going to go, I'm going to set it, and I'm going to shut up.
There's a Rocky Mountain Bigfoot project or something along that line where they have this intense camera system that they go out and put up. I put up cameras, I haven't found anything. I've set up lights to where motion detectors and stuff like. Why are we doing that? Okay, the light went off. Was it a Bigfoot or was it a deer or was it a raccoon or was it a chipmunk? I've talked to you guys during the workshop. I've set up the chem lights on strings in the trees, and it's really cool because you can see them moving from a distance. But there's it depends what you're trying to do. And if you want to have a relationship, give them a shot at you.
Well,
Teresa, thank you.
Teresa's Haunted History. Thank you, Teresa. Teresa's Haunted History. Hey, there you go.
Pat says his personal favorite method is to walk through the woods at night, whistling with a hairbrush, and also holding up a sign that says "Free hugs for Bigfoot."
That'll get you.
I don't see where you could go wrong with any of that. So, Ron, what's your favorite methodology to use?
I really think it depends on, like I said, what we're doing. If we're going to go out and look for data, that's one thing. That's different. Take all the equipment, go out there and do the thing. But even when we take the equipment, what do, Joe? We usually just sit there. We sit there and we scan a particular area. We don't go and, walk, into this area, a mile into the woods and then walk another mile out and with, like we're chasing something. We sit and we listen. And if we even get a hit, we try not to really go in that direction unless, we have to do that. And if we do that, we're doing it slowly. We're not going to be running, that's for sure. But if you're going out just for a close encounter, so to speak, you just be there, present yourself, and learn to listen. I think that's one of the key things. Just learn to listen.
Me, my personal favorite is I just putting on several miles in the woods. That was my go-to. That's how I've found the tracks that we've got in our collection was not like just going out and getting deep into the forest and being extremely observant. Some of the best experiences that I've had have come from just being still, getting out there somewhere into a good spot, like a nice bowl or some kind of a butte, and just staying there and just observing. Those are my two favorite ways to do things. But again, it depends on what you're doing. Like what Ron was saying, sometimes the run and gun method is all you got. Like if we get a Bigfoot report called in and we go out to it and it's in an area that's just kind of not quite right for what I would expect a habitat to be, then we'll run and gun it. We'll make some noise. We'll cause a little bit of a ruckus and see if anything responds, see if there's any kind of reaction, and then take a different approach after that. But assessing whether those are pass through or habitat areas, that kind of depends. And then if you're out there doing some stuff like a workshop, it's a run and gun, It's a run and gun combined with a little bit of sit and wait, because you've got people who are out who want to learn the different methodologies, who want to learn how to conduct themselves in the woods. So you're trying to cram years worth of experience into a day's worth of time.
Yeah, a couple
You know what?
hours.
You could do all of it at two at one time. We've gone out together, and I kid with Ron because he's doing stuff, and I just looked at him and said, "What the hell are you doing?" Well, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, "Okay, could you say that in English? Because I have no idea what you're talking about." And Ron is doing Ron things. Joe is, 30 yards ahead of us doing Joe things. And, just like at the workshop, I said, I'm going in the back because if he goes around, I want to be the one he runs into, and I want to be by myself.
Because you always want to have somebody that is back there, because that's
right.
If you're going out and you're in an area where something's observing you, and not the other way around, if something else is observing you, you're going to get flanked. It's just how it is. And having somebody in the rear to catch that.
And all three things can be done at one time. There's so many, there's no, hey, this is what we're going to do. I think you have to take every single investigation of where, what, and how to do what you're going to do on that. We go back to that same place and be like, you know what, last time this happened, that's not going to happen again the same way every time.
Right.
So we're going to have to change something up.
Well, I think Teresa has a great idea, Glenn.
I didn't.
She's got a great idea.
Pat actually had a really fun point. Would doing something unexpected get more of a reaction? They've seen hunters and hikers. What if we dress like a clown or pop up and down on a pogo stick?
Okay, I could really injure myself very badly on a pogo stick.
Me too.
Dressing up as a clown and standing beside Joe wouldn't really be a big difference.
Nah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference, like who's who at this point.
You know what? You are right, though. We used to play, and the answer to this next question is yes. We used to play Indian flute music, something that was never heard before. I talked about burning sage, doing something different, causing curiosity. And that's going to, make a difference.
Make them ask the question, right? That's what you're doing.
Right. Like, what are these guys? Hey, that's a pretty cool smell, or.
Yeah, because here's something that a lot of people might not think about, like, immediately. Sage that is burned, like the white sage, it's not native to the East Coast, not even native to the Midwest. It grows in a small area on the Pacific coast. There's a few small patches as you go up the Pacific coast, and that's it. That's the only place it grows. So it's not something that they would smell normally around here. Even when the First Nations tribes were here, that they didn't burn the sage here until later, and once the trade routes were established. But early on, it would have been completely foreign. And then nowadays, in modern days, it's definitely something that's out of the ordinary.
And doing those different things. And, there's, I don't want to, all right, I'll tell you a story that is embarrassing to me.
My God, it's going to be bad. You've already heard.
Embarrassing for Glenn.
Well, I'm embarrassed because of the way I handle things, and I learned from it, and I will never. And that's why I'm telling you, so other people can learn from it.
Okay.
There was a guy. The very first year I went to OBC, I was pretty cocky. I was, that Bigfoot guy.
The first year?
Yeah. Very first year I went there. But I had worked with Robert Morgan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you had the legend. This Robert Morgan was one of the guys. Technically, if there was a fifth horseman, it was Robert Morgan.
I'm all that in a box of chocolate,
Yeah.
But anyway, I took a friend of mine with me, and I ran into a researcher that I knew that had some odd things go on. That he did some odd things when he went in the woods. And I he says, we're going to go drive around a little bit. Do you want to go? I said, sure. So me and my buddy, his name was Zach at the time, went with this guy, and we drove around, and he looked at me and says, I want to ask you a question. What do you think a Bigfoot would do if he saw a TV? And I said, a what? He says, if he saw a TV, what do you think Bigfoot would do? I said, well, I had to think up something quick, and depends what was on. If Harry and the Hendersons was on, I don't know. Maybe it'd be Bigfoot porn for him. I don't know. I was laughing it off and joking around. Flash, he kind of dropped it, didn't talk about it anymore. 6 months later, I'm sitting in my office at home, and I read this story about this lady in Michigan who is having an encounter, a regular habituation type thing going on. So I contacted her, and she starts telling me the story. And she says, well, do you know this person? No names, please. And I said, yeah. He says, well, he's been out here helping me a lot. And, I really like him a lot. I said, he's a very, very nice guy, which he is. And I said, well, how did this all start? She says, well, it started with my child telling me that a monster was looking in his room. And I just thought it was fake. Until I realized that it only happened when he had his TV on. That he told me something was looking in his window at him. Here's this investigator asking me my opinion of something that he was taking very serious because he was in the middle of investigating it. And I blew it off as a joke because it wasn't the way you're supposed to investigate something.
Yeah.
Come to find out,
different.
Bigfoot was looking in the window at this kid's TV and watching him watch TV. And when the TV was off, he would go away. But I was so arrogant and so good at what I was doing that I didn't need to learn anything new or be open to any ideas. So guess what? I screwed up. And I not only, probably gave him a bad taste in his mouth about me, but I missed out on an opportunity because of my arrogance. And that's one thing you got to do when you're doing this. Check your arrogance at the door.
Yeah.
All of us have met some people at these conferences and different things.
Know everything. They know the answer. They know. Yeah.
Don't know something that they don't because you're wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So all I say is be patient with others. Don't be arrogant with others. And you know what? Listen to what they say because they may say something and you might just learn something.
So Trackway said they never woke up in the woods and suddenly thought, crap, they're here.
Yes. Several times. Actually, I was working a lot of hours back when we were doing that and driving down Southern Ohio at night. And, I would doze off sitting in the woods and you just wake up with the, oh shit, what's going on, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are awful quiet. Things aren't usually this quiet,
Something ain't right.
Yeah. You get this. And you've also got there to where I got out of my car, sat at a picnic table and been like, nothing's going on tonight. It's just, you can tell that nothing's around.
Octopus said that was a great story and a great lesson to learn. We all need to stay open-minded.
I hope that that's what came across because that's the reason I tell people that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a huge thing. How many times have you been setting and thinking of something and you run it by somebody and they just take a dump all over it? But it's something that you try later and you get results out of. I mean, it happens with everybody. And how many times have you been the person that took a dump on someone else's idea?
Terrible. I still feel bad about it to this day. And it had to be 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still feel bad about it.
And you learn from it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. So, that's a valuable lesson. That's what that was. But yeah, ego is a bad thing. It'll ruin you. Just don't do it. Just, you can entertain other people's notions. You don't have to agree with them.
I agree. And not only entertain it, but take a second when they tell you something odd. I mean, to be, I don't know, compassionate, understanding, just give what their thought is a chance.
Yeah. Larry brings up a good point, and that is exactly why we put everything on the table.
Yeah. And then, if they keep at it, just say, show me the data. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, if that's cool, look, if you've got this and you say
something
that,
beyond stories.
Yeah. If you've got this data that says what you're trying to tell us right now is absolutely the truth. If you've got proof of that, I want to see the data because you might change my mind.
Right.
That's how it works. And a lot of times they don't have that. They do just have stories like Joe said.
Wendy said, thank you all for sharing and really giving me so much to chew on. Thank you for putting up with my questions. See you guys later. Wendy, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. And your questions at least gave us 8 minutes of time where we didn't have to think of what to come up with. So thank you for your questions.
Yeah, exactly. We appreciate questions. The only way you're going to get answers is ask a question.
Yeah. Pat said, I don't have time for all this listening and compassion. I have to find the space Wookiees.
Fair enough.
Man. Trackway said, and that kid, he was, where are we at? Here it is. No, not that one. Trackway. Oh, one of our most favorite friends is famous for talking to Bigfoot outside his window as a kid. That kid grew up to be a stringent Bigfoot investigator that heard the mumbling in the woods while in Florida with 3 others.
Wow.
You know what? And it's funny you say that because I listened to a podcast last night that they talked about.
Octopus said, I think it's important to remember we are investigating the paranormal. It should be weird AF. Don't laugh at people just because these strange tales are strange. Please. You're exactly right.
100%.
The paranormal is essentially, like, we call it paranormal because I guess we got tired of calling it the unexplained.
Yeah.
And the unexplained can take so many bizarre forms at the end of the day. So to discredit, and I was guilty of it. I discredited a lot of stuff until I had a bizarre encounter that forced me to change my perspective.
When it happens to you, it's a different game. That's all I can say about it. That's really it. When you think that you know everything, and because you've listened to stuff, you think you've got it all, you figured it out, and then you have this encounter, experience, whatever that makes you have to change that view. Well, it's a whole different ball game at that point. So,
well, the biggest thing I said to people, and because of the way I said it and what I said, it became one of the mantras for how I continued to move forward with it, was that I would just tell me more than just a story. Show me that this is actually happening. And that's what we went forward and did. We collected the data in various manners, not just on camera or thermal, but on scientific measurement devices. We've collected this data now, and you put the money where the mouth is. So we've done the thing and continue to do the thing. And
you'll see the thing eventually. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, because it's, we put up videos of us doing stuff on YouTube. Right?
I mean, it's a heck of a story. It really is.
It is a big story, but it's one of these things where, like, for years, we've been taken seriously. We've been viewed as credible. We've won accolades.
Somehow. I don't know how.
All this stuff.
We have.
What is it?
We have. I don't know how, but we have. Yes, you're right.
But it's because we put in the work. Like, as goofy and as silly as we can be sometimes, we put in the work. It's the bottom line. and we get real results. And what those results are, I don't have an answer for, but like I'll go back and I'll use Cliff Barrickman as a prime example here. He has said he has no reason why some of the stuff that we have done just hasn't exploded. We don't know either. We can't answer that question. Probably because we don't run around like and make it campy. We don't run around and what was that? What was that? What the hell? It's not like a ghost hunting TV show. We don't present it that way. We present it in a manner that's more like educational, and try to help other people. But it's been strange. It's been real strange. But it's because it's the reason it's been the way it is, and the reason we treat the data the way we treat it is because we have experienced it. We have even at times, said things to people like what Glenn had said, like, oh, I don't know. And now we had to eat crow later. And now we know how to cook crow really well. And so that's what we do. We collect all the data. We collect it all. We put our money where our mouth's at, basically. And we do what we tell people we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
End of rant. But Octopus says it happens to all of us. We've all done it. Yeah, it's true. We have. LR says in any business, it's the person that knows everything that is the first to screw something up.
Yep. Yeah. We've seen that firsthand. Yeah.
There was one I'm going to tell you real quick one, and it was a very expensive mistake. Okay. This guy, we were doing some work on some C5 Galaxies. Okay. We are on a 4-story boom. I'm not on it. I'm down on the ground. We told the I think it was a tech sergeant at the time. He wasn't after this day, if it tells you how this is going. We told the tech sergeant at the time, he's like, hey, we tried to get him his gear bag to take up. So that way, because anytime you go out on the aircraft on the flight line, you took a gear bag. So that way you had all your tools, kept them all accounted for. You knew what you went in with and you knew what you went out with, kind of thing. Well, he was 4 stories up, working on the beaver tail, drops one of his because with the gear bag, we always had like a tie that went on the end of each tool in case he did drop it. It would not do what it does in this story. But he tool slipped out of his hand, fell about, I think it was like 25 feet roughly, hit the 40,000 stick skin that's right there near the back of the tail end, goes through 3 layers and is inside the aircraft when we open up the back end. And it's a very expensive mistake. Very expensive mistake. So he was the first one to screw it up, and we were like, we thought we were all dead. Luckily, he wound up taking the fire, and he said, well, they did tell me to take the gear up. They tried, and I just, for whatever reason, wasn't listening. Turned out being a really costly mistake. He got docked a stripe and got some hefty chewing. Pat said that's what the hairbrush is for, data collection. When I finally get that hug from the Wookiees.
There you go. Always have a plan.
That mumbling Joe and Ron described Mothman made for a grand total of 13 people that have heard the Sierra Sound mumbling that I've met in the last year, to include myself, in Harrison County, Glenn.
Yeah.
Where can he answer where at in Harrison County?
So Trackway, let us know roundabout where you were, if you can. Pat says, did you hear that? Sounds like a Sasquatch. There's a Squatch in them woods.
Oh, yes, my God. You know what? I know Matt. I knew Matt before he did the show.
Yeah.
He went to law school in Akron, Ohio.
Yeah.
So back in the day, we would all go to Don Keating's meetings, me and Bob and Steve, and then Matt, and it caused for some verbal arguments at times, but of all the people, I bet he is, of all the words he's ever said in his life, that has to be the phrase that haunts him forever.
Oh yeah. He
I
had
know
mentioned that when we were doing the filming, we were sitting there. We had been eating dinner, and I asked one thing to like all the cast because we're just sitting there, and I said, "So what has been like your number one like standout thing that you absolutely wished you'd never did on the show?" and they all just kind of laughed, and like each one of them told a little story about something that was caught on camera that haunts them to this day on the reruns. Matt immediately says, "There's a Squatch in them woods." And he said, "I'm just going to leave it at that." He said, I hate that. And he said, now that is like the go-to. He said there are people that have it as their ringtones on their phone or their text tones on their phones. And I laughed and I told him, I said, I'm not Matt. I said, I'm glad you said that because one of the kids from my youth group has that as his ringtone for a text message. There's a Squatch in these woods. And yeah, he to that day, you know, we still regretted that. And there were some other stories they told, but that one immediately, without skipping a beat, he rattled off.
Finding Trackways talking about this Velcro suit and the who I was talking about the hairbrush. Bob Morgan told me when he
Pat
first
was the guy. So Pat that we're talking about here, Pat was the guy that had the batteries explode in his flashlight at the workshop.
Okay. Now, okay, yeah, I remember. Bob told me when he first started this, he wanted to get somebody who could, a medic, and that's why he was first interested in me because I was a paramedic. His goal was to shoot a Bigfoot with a tranquilizer gun. And I says, well, what do you do? He says, I just want to slow it down. I'm going to run up to it and I'm going to grab it as much as I can of hair and I'm going to yank it out. And he's going to
then get thrown like a human lawn dart.
Yeah. He said he's going to knock me on my ass and I need a paramedic that'll take care of me.
Oh, wow.
Even if I die, I will have proof and DNA in my hands of the Bigfoot follicles. And I'm like, dude, you need to come up with a better plan. He came up with better plans, but that's how he says I'm just going to take one for the team. I'm going. When I saw the comb comments and stuff,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Trackway said he was going to build a catapult and launch him in his Velcro suit at Bigfoot.
The problem is getting away and bringing it back.
Yeah, right. The retrieval of said Pat.
Wasn't it Osterman who got abducted? And
yeah, Albert Osterman.
Yeah. Imagine if Osterman had a Velcro
trusty
suit
can
on,
of snuff.
It never came back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigfoot would be peeling you out of his butt for. Then you can ask
Bigfoot about his butthole.
Yeah, I see what y'all did. Come back around.
Wrap around there. The callback.
That's just funny.
Now,
you guys ran
of the callback.
Y'all ran for 1 minute straight, according to these statistics, and somehow in that 1 minute, you managed to hit 721 reactions.
Oh, I was over here mashing the button. I was with them. There was a few people with me who were over here on the YouTube side, just mashing away at the buttons.
That is hilarious. That was like an hour, almost an hour ago. And then
they
did
it would have been about because it was back whenever I told them we were gonna. It was right when the donations rolled in, when all that big wave hit.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now too.
Tonight's reactions are 2,795. I've never seen it that high before, so. That's pretty impressive. Chat messages are back to normal, but the reactions are just off the chart. That's insane.
So get over there and mash those emote buttons on the video. Hit
I guess we're trying to get 3,000, right?
The charade stuff, all that.
Charade. It's a charade, everyone.
Charade.
Everyone, let us play charades.
So speaking of a callback, we got to remember this one. Jen phone is about dead, so her guesses were square,
then
bacon, then the plus.
This is just
I'll be listening.
I'm just going to do this just for Jen. This is just for Jen. No one else. What'd you say?
Square, then bacon,
Hang on. Not that one.
then bacon. Oh,
Okay.
second one was right.
Okay.
And then the plus sign.
Plus. All right. Look at that.
1 out of 3. You got the middle one.
Yep. Not terrible.
That
She
was
had
cool.
square too. Not in that
Yeah.
order.
Not in
She
that
would
order, though.
Oh, that's right. She had square. She'd have
Yeah.
square, bacon, and then plus.
Yeah.
To like,
would've been-
you know,
That would have been great if she'd have got the plus out of order too, because that would have been even more interesting. That would have been great.
LR said this paramedic would have laughed before rendering care.
oh, I'm telling you, when he told me the story, I'm like, dude, there's so many things that can go wrong here.
Teresa
Oh,
particularly liked this plan.
You think? I mean, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
And I could see like Bob, because Bob's a smaller guy. He's always been smaller frame.
yes, very small
like,
guy.
I could see this guy just like Ron, somebody like Ron running at a Bigfoot.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do. That's
Grabbing
cool.
a hold of it and then just waiting for his thumping.
Yeah.
He knew it was coming.
Well, I needed the paramedic, Glenn.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I've never learned how to treat a Squatch attack.
You should have wrote the first protocol for Squatch attack care, and you would have been even more famous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would have been like the zombie survival guide. That was a
You know what?
New York
he told
Times
me
#1
many-
bestseller.
There was a,
Oh my God.
if you watch the movie, the documentary that he made, something Mormon was her name. Anyway, she used to, when they would camp in the Pacific Northwest during this documentary, the crew wouldn't go with her until, they were warned ahead of time, because she would wake up in the morning, strip down to nothing, and dance around. Eliza Mormon was her name. She would dance around the fields around her tent naked, trying to attract the Bigfoot. Michael Pileski, he would, he did all the hiking and stuff, but he'd also set out food, and they did all kinds of things back in the 70s when they made this video, trying to, get Bigfoot to come in close to them. Things have been, not everything, of course, but so many things have been tried.
Yeah.
But I really.
Scott said, I don't think paramedics can replace your head in the field. No, but there are engineering an AI robot that can. I hope I'm not the only one who's seen that Nightmare Fuel online.
No.
I know Pat's probably seen it. Pat said he hasn't caught that show in about 20 years, talking about the Tick. That was the paddle launcher. He was going to shoot him like the Tick, basically.
I never saw that.
People. Pat said, I'm sure she attracted something with that display.
I'm sure of it too, but I think I was 8 at the time, so I wasn't anywhere around it. So.
That's funny.
You know what? I wish I would remember it was like finding or the search for Bigfoot or one of those. You can look it up on YouTube.
I'll say there's the Bigfoot Mafia or Squatch Mafia. I can't remember what they're called exactly, but it's one of the two. They have gone and like bootlegged a bunch of the old school Bigfoot documentaries, like from the 80s and 90s, stuff that you can't find anymore. And I know somebody, I think it was CJ, who was mentioning like some of the books that we were talking about being out of print and they're being hard to find. eBay is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Go on eBay, type in the name and title of a book you're after. Somebody's going to have it. You can get it. Sometimes you get a good deal. Sometimes you got to pay a little bit, but
they have them at the conference every year. Bob's book.
That's right. Yeah.
One that I think that his publisher now and I'd have to look it up. If somebody needs it, I can look it up. But his publisher will directly sell those to you.
Yep. And that same publisher has them listed on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm sure.
LR said obvious signs of death is how I explained the medical examiner, Scott.
You always have to write on a report injuries incompatible with life.
Oh man. All right, Ron, let's get some cards going.
All right, let's do the cards.
Let's get everybody start getting your guesses in. We got 28 of you guys still hanging with us.
Oh,
so
wow.
You guys start throwing in some guesses. We'll keep
waiting.
talking a little bit here.
I think they're waiting for it. That's what it seems like.
Let the Wookiee win. Blunt force trauma. Got them rolling in. Here they come. Trackway said it's Sasquatch Mafia. That's who it is.
Yeah, really interesting. Last night at the discussion group where we did the out of body experience remote viewing thing, we did a Zinner test with the group, a whole 25 card run. And it was very long. It was toward the end, thankfully, and we tried multiple things. We tried precog. We tried telekinesis. We tried telepathy. Sorry, not telekinesis. I tried to levitate Adam away. We tried to project. Like there's multiple things we did, and it was interesting. There's a lot of people did get the actual target that Adam went out and took a picture of. By the way,
very cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was very cool. It was a very good time. Everybody enjoyed it. At least they seemed to.
All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Terry said, I think they called that significant mechanism of injury when my wife did her EMT training.
Any of the above works. As long as I get the point across that he ain't gonna live through that.
Yeah. Anybody else got a guess for the Zinner cards? We've got 11 people so far. 12.
Okay, I'm holding.
This is the precognitive test.
Yeah.
Are those the options?
Mm-hmm. Yes, those are the options. Glenn, which one do you think is going to be?
Star plus circle.
It's just one card. We're going to go with star since that was the first one you said.
No, he's trying to make sure
she put in all of her guesses at the front.
I'm sorry, it's star then.
Star, you're going to go star. That says heart.
Spades.
You guys kill me. All right, we're ready to roll here, people.
How many more we got? We got it. That puts us at 15. 15 of the 30 who are still hanging with us.
Yeah. All bets all done. Crowd. All bets all done. That's a plus. Yeah.
Wind.
Okay, here we go. It's square. Who got a square? Which one of you guys got square?
Square. So square, we had Terry had square.
Mm-hmm.
Ada had square.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Trackway had square.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
Oh, wow.
Who had square.
So this time we're going to try the other way, okay? So now, everybody, I want you all to take a really good deep breath and let it out. And then when I hit this card, the very first one of those images that pops into your head, you type that as soon as I hit this card. Not before, not after. Ready?
All right, everybody, get your guesses in. We successfully summoned Captain Planet in the chat a little bit ago.
That's cool.
By the way,
That's cool.
Terry, I have the gift. Okay. Oh, Roger Morris has joined us there towards the end. Thanks for hanging out, Roger.
Hey, Raj.
Draw 4. Uno.
Ha ha.
So,
Okay, we ready?
You guys ready? Are you ready?
And here we go.
Circle. So
I
we
had-
got 1, 2, 3. Finding the trackway somehow managed to get a circle within a square. We'll give that one to him. 4, 5. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 9 that time. I got it.
9.
Those are good odds.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to look at this one. So here we go. And go. Pat said you didn't count his. He had 10.
Oh, I didn't count yours. Sorry about that, Pat.
This one.
So we had 10. I got yours, Adam. I lost the gift.
Right?
Trackway saying the bottom of the deck is bacon.
Nope.
Wrong again, Trackway. Easy come, easy go, Terry.
And we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Way to go. So we got bacon, we got water, we got wavy lines.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had water in there.
There's a bunch of them.
So we've got, I'm gonna go through them real quick. Bacon, water, bacon, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.
7. So 10 and 7 is not bad.
No, those are good numbers. Those are high numbers for the guys who are stuck 2 in a row. Woo. Ouch, Ron. If you cut me, do I not bleed?
It is now.
Then he said, is the bottom star.
That's fun. You guys you're getting better at it. You're getting better at it.
Oh, man.
Man, that was fun.
Glenn, thanks for hanging out with us.
What a great show.
Thank you.
What a great
show. It's always fun having you on.
When you come back, Glenn?
Tomorrow.
All right, cool.
Oh, okay. Special live announcement, apparently, guys. We'll be here.
Nope. Don't tune in. It'll be next Thursday. And Glenn, yeah, you
Anytime.
Sure.
Anytime.
Yeah, if you want to jump on next Thursday
My
or
number.
any Thursday
Absolutely.
after that, whenever, man.
Next Thursday, I have the graduation party. Remember?
Oh,
so not
Wow.
next Thursday.
Terry, the gift has returned.
Possibly the Thursday after that Thursday. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Just let me
be
know
back soon.
anytime, guys. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sir.
it always is. It's always a good time having you on. You bring a very good perspective, and it's you're never at a lack of a story to tell.
That's
That's
because I make
true.
them up as we go.
I know. It's amazing.
So, guys,
Thank
thanks
you
for hanging out with us tonight.
very much.
It has been an absolute ball having you all here. Thank you for all of the support you've shown us tonight and all the donations. We are going to get on that Bigfoot workshop as soon as possible. I'll start working logistics for that in the very, very near future. Will be announced here first. So
Hang
you guys
in there.
will,
Hang in there. There's a lot
Yep.
coming down the pipe. Just hang
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. Hang in there.
Yeah, there's a lot coming down the pipe. And you can ask us about the butthole later. So
Ask Glenn.
ask Glenn. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
started.
So guys, thank you all. Ron, any last takeaways?
No, not really. I don't have anything. I think it was a fantastic show. I think everybody for coming out. It was just absolutely fun. Glenn, fun as always, man. Seriously, I know there's a lot of joking aside. Jokes aside, get back here when you can and sit in that seat.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to get back out there with you again and just hang out.
Soon.
It'll happen.
The giant space sphincter.
No,
That's that needs to be a new 3D
you guys
award you can win.
Wow.
Ada says, watch out for the owls and Bigfoots.
There you go. Wise
Gonna
advice.
sleep with one eye open. You might want to be careful with that, Larry, with the giant space sphincter going around. You could get pink eye.
Oh, man.
So everybody, you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you again for all the support you guys show us week in, week out. Remember, if you want to catch up with us here in the very near future, it's like 3 weeks away, you're going to be able to come hang out with us at Monster Fest. We are going to be talking about bridging the gap between data collection techniques through the world of high strangeness. You definitely want to come hang out there with us. It's going to be a really good time. It's going to be at the Palace Theater in Canton, and the Doubletree. It's going to be pretty cool. Glenn said it's a really nice area. It's going to be our first trip up that way. First one, especially for me, for a long time. I haven't been to Canton in many a moons. The last time I was in Canton, I was catering for Toyota, an event up there. If that tells you how long it's been, Ron.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So then, Monster Fest. Come hang out with us there. It's going to be an absolute blast. Remember, tell all your friends to like and subscribe to Wild and Weird WV over on YouTube. A little click from you guys goes a long way from us. You have all seen that tonight on how that goes.
Fantastic. Just share it with all your friends. There's some amazing information that was actually in this. Aside from all the joking, there was some really cool information I got to learn. Like, for instance, I learned that you probably should not tackle a Bigfoot.
Yeah. And if you do, you definitely at least want to have an EMT at the bare minimum.
Medic on staff. Right. Exactly. I learned a lot tonight.
So you guys, thank you, Ada. Thank you, Octopus. I have an extra ticket because I got one for the Kickstarter and the VIP pass. So Larry's got an extra ticket. Sweet.
That's awesome.
Asher's Creation says, can I be on the next stream? Abso-freaking-lutely. Are you going to tell us about your stories? That's the only stipulation, dear. You have to tell us your stories. You've been like just throwing them out there like breadcrumbs here and there. Like, oh, we saw this. Me and my mom saw this. We experienced this.
It's like a little Luis Elizondo running around.
So yeah, absolutely you can. You want to be on next week? We will send you a link. You're on.
Sounds like we got a plan for next week, guys. Yeah, this will be fun.
So Ashley just said, I can make it happen. Yes. All right. We've been looking forward to this show for some time, guys. You're going to enjoy it, I'm sure. So tune in next week with our special guest, Asher's Creation, and probably Ashley in the background. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be a really fun show next week already. It's already looking good. And
I'll have to learn some new chords, Joe.
Yeah, there you go. You got to learn the new chords before the end of summer anyway, man.
Gotta do.
we gotta put that band together. It's gonna be our Hawaiian tribute band to Van Halen.
It's gonna be something. Gonna be something.
So guys, if you want to know more information, if you're looking for more stories, you can go over to wildandweirdwv.com, click on all the links and tabs there. It'll help you out with everything you need, especially if you've had a sighting. Click on the report a sighting tab. It'll take you to our questionnaire. Fill that out, send it in. We will get back to you shortly. We've added several new sighting reports recently, and we should probably talk about some of those actually next week too, while we have the folks on. We can talk about some of the new reports that have been sent in, because we do have permission to share at least a couple of those. Oh, Asher said, nope, she's on her own. I'm throwing her to the wolves. Uh-oh. Good times. Good times. Oh, man. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out. It has been an absolute pleasure. And remember, it's not the best idea to wear a T-shirt.
No.
That says,
don't do that.
Ask me
Please
about my butthole.
Please.
Especially if
this.
Glenn and I are in the same room as you.
Well,
or there's even the potential that could happen.
It's actually
because it will.
It's very true.
It will.
Yeah.
Stay wild and weird, everybody.
That's all very true. There's no false information there. It's all true.